Hi everybody, welcome back to our spaghetti base for probably now officially the last time because we decided to do a spaghetti base tour to kind of wrap up the series and kind of talk about just where everything is in all of this spaghetti mess.
Yes, because 9 times out of 10, I don't know where things are. And I built half of it, in theory.
Exactly, I'm the same way.
I yelled at Poober to automate half of it. That's more accurate.
Yeah, and only about half of what you told me to got automated. But
Yes.
that's neither here nor there at this point. I guess we should probably start with where we are right now. We're currently kind of in the center of the base, and if it wasn't clear enough, we started with, I think, 10 rings of concrete that were all different types of floor types.
We started off with 100 tiles of concrete out from the silo.
Correct.
So, yeah, we have the silo plus 100 tiles in every direction to try and build a base.
Yes.
And we pretty much filled every tile.
Just about. I mean, we could have put in some random stuff here and there, but we filled it. Like lights or walls or something like that. But we've filled everything we could with things that were needed for the base. So, but here we are in the center of the base. The rocket silo is true center of everything. But let's probably go in a clockwise rotation, starting with the lower left corner, and then we'll work our way out clockwise from there, if that sounds okay with you.
Yeah, work your way in from there. But yeah, yes.
Semantics.
If I find a mod setting... there we go. I just turned on more lights. Yep.
Oh, cool. So JD is the creator behind this monstrosity here.
No. I am the concept artist of this monstrosity.
Okay.
I believe you suggesting that we put cars on belts is where the true creation came from. And I demanded that they had to be tanks, not cars.
Well, every time I suggested cars on belts, it was a joke. Because, of course, for those of you following my .17, .18 series, I did my cars on belts mega base. And I didn't actually mean for it to get implemented here, but JD wanted to take it one step higher and do tanks on belts, which is pretty much like a horrible concept, but we somehow got it to work.
It worked. It worked perfectly. Maybe not on the first recording because somebody on that particular episode forgot to press record, but it worked fine on the second time round.
Yeah, and that person, by the way, was JD.
That wasn't.
I have the footage to prove it, which will, I guess, never get released, but yeah.
Oh, there's still the blooper video to come. Maybe it'll get thrown in there somewhere.
That's true. But long story short... so this is our steel build, or one of our steel builds.
One off. Yeah.
You know, the iron ore comes in off of this train station here. It delivers the iron ore and the coal into the tanks. And from the tanks, filter inserters pull from them and put them into the adjacent smelter nearby. And then the output is over here. And this gets fed back into one of our many weird lines of product.
Yes, many weird lines is 100% accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a very traditional main bus system. I think we just have as many lines as we possibly could fit that some start, some end, and it's just very random.
Yes.
But anyway, just above steel, we have one of our iron smelting areas that just conveniently fits right within these train tracks here, and also is kind of fit also against our perimeter wall and ammo line here, which does make a square around the entire base filled with ammo.
Mostly the entire base.
Where does it not go?
Power on the right-hand side, but we'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there. So let's hopefully safely cross this line here, because now we're getting into module territory, and these modules go ahead and feed into the rocket control units up above, even further up the line, I guess.
Up the line, yep. And we've got some military science, which is made right here because we're a little bit short on military. The rest of the military build is like on the other side of the base. And then we're making steel on site because we couldn't find a steel belt conveniently right here at the time.
Yes, this was before we made our tanks on belt steel belt build, or else we could have probably just brought over the steel. But we left this as is.
Yes, the steel does come up, wrap around, and go back down here and stop for no reason whatsoever. Just accept it. Lots of things in the space do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of really weird, random things. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
The really cool thing about this military build here was that, like JD said, it was an extension on our military build that's more in the center of the base, but we were still able to get the science packs joined up exactly where they needed to go.
Yes, way over here somewhere. So, yeah, if I zoom all the way out, I can almost see the other military build.
Almost. I think it's over. Well, yeah, I think we can over there.
Yep.
All right, but anyway, going up again, we've got some copper smelters, and then we really get into probably the highest tech portion of our factory, which is where we make blue circuits, green circuits, some red circuits. Oh, boy. And meanwhile, we're still getting attacked.
It's fine. It's fine. They can have that little bit. Yeah, this is where... And this is probably the straightest part of the base, because a whole bunch of green circuit builds ended up over here, which then had everything else built around them. So blue circuits got built around them. The speed modules and rocket control units got built around them. It turns out Poober did a productivity module build for reasons that I will never understand.
You wanted them in the labs.
Yes.
That is the reason. You wanted them.
And then again, like, you know, there's weird builds like this green circuit machine outputs this way and outputs this way to this belt for some important reason. And that might only go to one place. Oh, look, it does. It goes to...
It goes to two places, it looks like.
It goes to... refineries and somewhere else. We're just going to accept somewhere else is very important too.
Yeah, the point being there's lots of random lines. It's hard to know exactly where they go unless you actually directly follow the line either backwards or forwards.
Yes, there's lots of following this belt to find out where this belt exactly goes. And there is, I think it's here or maybe it's south. There is literally a red circuit belt that loops over 4 or 5 10 tiles to the right to then turn around and come back to the left for reasons. None at all, but it happens. It happens.
So here's the rocket control unit assemblers here that get fed the speed modules from down below. We've got some more module production here. We also have a random assembler 3 production here, which has the assemblers 2 belted from, actually, who knows where. I think all the way from the center of the base, actually.
Center of the base, yes. Yeah, there are more assembler 2s on a belt than there are in the box waiting to be picked up by the Logibots.
I think that is true.
And then we have our tanks, because it's important to automate tanks if you can put tanks on a belt. And then substations, which got built way after tanks, but just happen to share most of the components as tanks, so they got automated together.
Yes.
And then a random copper build, because we were short on copper.
Yeah, and we could conveniently fit the smelters here, so why not?
Yeah, there's lots of things in this space where you'd ask why not, and the answer could be many, many answers. And then a red circuit build with the best/worst belt braiding I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is very compact. And there's lots of belt braiding around this space here. This is not the only example.
Yeah. And then the single green circuit machine to make trains. Yep.
Yeah, we had no belt line of green circuits, so we have green circuits getting made and directly inserted into the train assembler.
Yep. So then we got... Yep.
No, you go.
We've got some engines that go to blue science. And this is a booster blue science build. It's not the original blue science build because, again, we found out partway through we were just short of blue science. Yep, because nothing is built to ratio.
Yeah.
And then more red circuits with another copper smelter.
Yep.
Which you'll probably notice is built to the wrong size. And does that have the copper loop all the way around?
No, it stops here. And we actually pull copper ore from multiple different lines, at least to feed this smelting area.
This one has copper coming from the right-hand side, from the left, or the top right-hand corner, the top left-hand corner, and the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes, and the way we got away with the copper ore coming from the bottom right corner where we have a train station deliver it is originally I had the copper ore joined up with some ammo, but I guess it's on its own line right now here. Or, actually, we just don't have any coming in for some reason, but copper ore does share the ammo line occasionally over here, and then, of course, it's over here as well. Yes. So it's very random and very creative how we got the copper ore where it needed to go.
It comes from A and gets to B somehow. Yep. And then a more traditional red circuit build with a whole lot less belt braiding, he says while staring at all the belt braiding on the southern side. Yep.
Yes. And then blue science just below the red circuit assembly here. So this is where I think the majority of our blue science, well, I guess the other half of our blue science gets built.
Half, yeah, yeah. And then we've got steel chests along with blue splitters for, yes. Blue undergrounds, or at least I can see. Oh, there's blue belts. So they're all technically on the same screen.
Yeah, so now we're kind of getting into supply depot territory or make everything territory, whatever you want to call it, where we tried to automate a lot of the things we needed for base building, and it oddly just kind of all ended up here for the most part. So it's got things from all of our belt tech, all of our splitter tech, underground belts, to boxes, including steel chests, passive provider boxes, a roboport, inserters, what else? Repair packs, the smelters, everything, power poles, yes. Assemblers, miners. Yeah, everything you could
everything
mostly need.
Yeah. And we do have, like I said, these are built in the middle of the train tracks. Just it's fine.
Yes.
Just think thin thoughts when you walk down the middle.
Yeah.
As Poober remembers, because she's trained a few times. So then we go up to centrifuges, which were a booster centrifuge build. Because we just couldn't process the uranium ore fast enough. And again, just found a spot and threw it in. Technically, it sorts the shiny rocks from the dull rocks by putting. It does, yes. It puts the dull rocks on the bottom side and the shiny rocks on the top side. Yeah, but we all know the chance of getting a shiny rock is somewhere between 0 and none. So yeah, one side of the belt doesn't do much.
Yeah, well, it's good because it prevents jamming, which I really appreciate. And I actually really like this build. JD, you came up with the design to have it, insert on one side and insert on the other side, and then we undergrounded the actual ore coming in. So it's very compact and actually something I might use in future playthroughs.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
This shall live on. Train.
Oh, boy. We both lived.
And then we have my truly unique green circuit build with direct smelting into copper cable into green circuits, which was something I just wanted to do to see whether it worked, and it turns out it does work.
Unique is not what I would have called it.
No. No, it is unique. It is unique. It is unique and definitely worth of a nuke.
It's horrible.
Yes, it is.
I think our last real episode was basically half an hour fighting over the concept behind this, because I wanted to just continue the copper belt and get rid of the smelters, but JD said there was no point to that. So it's basically like arguing back and forth, but this is how it will live on, past forever. The series.
And this is also how it is in the save file, which is down in the description. You're welcome to come grab a copy and wander through this map yourself, and ask many, many questions, which we will never, ever have an answer to, because we probably don't know either.
True.
So yeah, the ammo belt finishes up the top, and then we have this section here, which I couldn't get ammo through, because we'd already sort of built in around this edge where we'd thrown in more power, because we were always short of power.
And look,
so
these things are not getting any power poles to light that up.
Oh, poor Diddums. It's fine. I'm pretty sure you had the rule of no changing things.
Well, sorry, my OCD got the better of me.
And then we have Poober's great belt of roboports and roboports.
That's true.
Which has a signal wire that you have to chase all the way back to this inserter here and this inserter. One of these inserters, and it stops it outputting robots onto the giant belt that goes all the way up here to feed into. This is the closest roboport that we can access to this machine. There is one right here, but we couldn't access it.
Yep, it was just too full already. So, that was my solution to preventing a humongous buffer and expense of construction bots. So it worked, and
it worked.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm pleased with it. If you guys remember, our uranium processing or smelting is up here, but we were able to get the line of the 235 and the 238 kind of snaking all the way around clockwise through this belt braiding that you're seeing here, and that was quite a feat.
Braiding magic mess.
Yes.
Yeah. It changes colors and speeds multiple times.
Yes, and
it's this belt here that I'm standing on. This one's the one that has uranium on it. Everything else has nothing to do with it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It kind of affected some of the throughput of our products, but it was a sacrifice we had to make.
Yep, she slowed down our copper that we were desperately short on for low density structures to yellow belt speed because that's the color she happened to use to braid it.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see you belt braid any better, but...
Don't belt braid. Don't belt braid. Don't belt braid.
That's a debate for another day. But that passes our steam engine build here. I guess this used to be the majority of our power before we got nuclear power.
This was the second power plant we put up. So we have a semi-traditional power plant that is at the last of our loop, and then this was a very, very straight, very, very normal. It's probably the most normal part of the base. I actually think it's even built somewhat to ratio, sort of.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's the most normal part of the base, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It's all straight and nice looking, and part of it uses coal, and another part uses solid fuel because we had some solid fuel nearby.
Yeah, and it was running on burner inserters, so if you see right here, it had to slow down to yellow belt speed so the burner inserters could pick up the coal and then at the same time maintain red belt speed overall to feed right to the end. So, yeah, split into 2 yellow belts and then joined back together to go back to red belt speed because reasons.
Okay.
We should have just upgraded those inserters. Yeah, so we've got low density structures here, which is short on steel, which if you remember from the start of the base, we had plenty of steel, so I have no idea how that steel gets here or why it doesn't get here, and yeah.
Yeah, I think this steel comes from more of the center/bottom left portion of the base, but we may never know.
I'm not looking into it. Yep.
Yeah. Below that, we have rocket fuel production.
Correct. Rocket fuel production fed with our solid fuel, which does loop all the way around the build. So it comes in here and literally goes around in circles because I'm not sure why.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did I do that? No, I did not do that. JD did the looping.
No. This whole belt has your name on it.
Except for this belt here. Has your name.
This belt, where? Where the hell are you? I've lost you. Oh, there you are.
Yep, that's a frequent problem in this base is losing each other and not being able to navigate. Yeah, that has your name on it.
No idea.
Anyway, we also have some more assembly of products and drop-off. We've got a train drop-off point for copper ore that comes in here. And if you remember, this line of copper ore ends up feeding all the way clockwise to the top left portion of the base, miraculously, in this very compact space.
Yes, and it is definitely built into the base thoroughly.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Very messy here. To the left of the train drop-off point, we have This is the original uranium smelting area. Or no, it's not actually. I guess the original...
It's the booster one.
Yeah, the original is to the right here that's fit in between the train as well. But this was the booster, and then the top one was the last thing to be added on for uranium smelting.
Yeah, and this was a copper station because, again, we're short on copper, and as you can see, all the belts are definitely not backed up at all. Yeah, so we have our copper, we have our uranium, which is technically one of the rules for this playthrough was you couldn't use Logibots to do any like moving around products for construction. So this is manually manually checked. So if this chest here fills up, you need to come shove it in one of these two chests manually because that's how we automated it because we couldn't get any more inserters in here.
Yeah, but one thing I really like about this, not that I like many things about this base, but one thing I really do appreciate is that we did keep the 235 and the 238 separate. So even though it looks very confusing and jumbled with all of these belt lines everywhere, and we have a million different inputs for the 235 and the 238 lines, they're all organized at least, so they're not supposed to get jammed, at least in theory.
In theory, yeah.
In theory, I guess we've never seen it get fully backed up to know for sure.
Oh, there goes a shiny rock. Bye, shiny rock.
Oh, what are the odds?
Yeah.
And then over here to the very bottom right, JD, is your work of art that you can explain.
It's my art project. So if you follow the Friday Facts as I do, there is... In one particular Friday Fact, I want to say, I have no idea what number it is. Maybe if I remember, I'll put the link down in the description. But Woob have their poster artwork, which has their logo in the bottom right-hand corner. And they featured this monstrosity, which is... It's a piece of art that they put together that represents Factorio without actually representing Factorio to a real person. So... There's, 3 weird chests fitting onto a belt for reasons. There's a smelter in the bottom right-hand corner. There is uranium fuel cells on a belt with gears with an underground that's far too long to actually make the distance that it needs to pass. There's a oil refinery which has the input of lubricant into the heat exchanger. There's just lots of weird things that happen in this particular screenshot. So I decided I want to duplicate it with the artillery shell and the artillery train and the 2 dead biters in the bottom right-hand corner along with the dead tree because I wanted to duplicate it to prove that I could. And actually right where I'm staring has a little Woob logo in the bottom right-hand corner, so that's why this area is blank. So yeah, I wanted to duplicate it, so I did, and I have no idea how long I spent doing this, but it was a complete waste of time, and I'm still glad I did it.
It was at least one full episode. I know that because I remember I thought at the time I was being pretty productive, and you were, meanwhile, doing something related to this, but it turned out really cool. If you zoom in close enough, you could mistake this for the Woob background thing, so it's pretty cool. But it serves no purpose, though, in our base apart from just aesthetics.
Absolutely none. And then we have our shiny rock maker, the Covrex process, which has been hand-fed with 80 uranium and just loops it around and around and around and around forever. And conveniently has 160 odd in there so far.
I didn't even know this was there.
Yeah, that's why I put it there and I didn't tell you. Otherwise, you would have had nukes and I would have died.
Oh, you evil person.
Honest. That's the difference.
Ugh. Well, we have oil drop-off point just here as well. I'm not sure why.
Which is nowhere near refineries. Because we didn't have enough oil.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought our oil drop-off was over here, but this is coal drop-off over here to that train station.
Yeah. Along with another bit of power that sort of got half ripped up to fit in a coal and oil drop-off. This is power plant number 3. Yes, and then we got nuclear.
Yes, the 4 nuclear plants are over here. Originally, I tried to have smarts on that, but sometimes winging the smarts is not always my strong suit, so we just let it run, I guess.
Yeah, it just burns off fuel cells. It's fine. We've got plenty of shiny rocks. It just keeps going forever.
Yeah.
Well, we just counted 160 in a box. It's fine.
It's fine.
And yeah, this is power, which I added extra heat pipes to for no reason whatsoever. Actually, not at all. Just because they glow and they look cool, pretty much. I
Yeah,
strongly recommend every base should have right down your main bus at least a line of heat pipes, just for when it gets dark, because they glow all the time.
it is pretty cool, and it did take up some room. We also skipped some more copper smelting over here, as well as just to the left of the copper ore drop-off point. And then we have more automation of the things that went into nuclear power, like the nuclear power plants themselves, or the nuclear reactors, the heat exchangers, the pipes, the centrifuges, stuff like that over here.
Yep. And then we got guns, because we didn't automate guns forever.
True.
And then got sick of manually crafting them. So we automated lasers and then we automated guns because we're smart. It's fine.
Yes, in that order.
Yeah. And again, we made steel on site because we could find iron plate but not steel. So Poober automated on site to make lasers, which then I expanded so we could make nuclear. What else needs steel? Oh, heat exchangers. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we do have oil refining over here as well, just adjacent to the nuclear reactors. And this is one of 2 refining areas. This is the second set added in, but our original set is over here more towards the middle. And all of the fluids still add up in one common place. So they do all feed to the same areas.
Yes, they're all... It's one continuous refinery split with a large gap in the middle, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's... Yeah. So we got battery production into into solar accumulators and radars for all the important reasons to make the all-important special satellite.
Yes.
Which... had stuff fed from everywhere.
Yeah, I think I spent 3 episodes planning and building my satellite thing, and I was so excited once we actually did the research for it. But yeah, this is kind of my weird satellite setup. Not ratio perfect at all, and in fact, I don't think much of this space really kept ratios in mind much, apart from
I think the first smelter did. The first smelter did, and then from there on, it all went out the window.
Yeah, it was kind of free game for anything. But yeah, this is the satellite build. It's also adjacent to a stone drop-off train over here. Coal is just below that. And then everything feeds into the satellite assembler here.
Yes, which, by the way, is shot on rocket fuel.
Which... I'm not sure why, but the rocket fuel does kind of snake around as well from
because there's a common problem that low density structures ended up on both sides of the belt, and this is a common problem we had throughout this whole series, where things that were on one side of the belt might sometimes accidentally end up on both sides of the belt and break some of the build miles away, and you'd have no idea why at all.
Yeah. There's a lot of the space that doesn't work, or if it does, we don't really know why.
Yeah. So then we have our original power, which was built in the base, along the base, and through a cliff, because it was our original power, so we didn't have cliff explosives. So you just build around the cliffs, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Same with the train tracks, they had to path around the cliffs, and in a lot of cases around the base, because the base got there first, so the... train just...
I haven't seen that. That's random.
No, it's not random. Every single time they go past the tanks, they hit a tank.
I never noticed that.
Pretty much guaranteed.
That's horrible. We've got more copper smelting fit in here because we could.
Because we needed it.
Yes,
it's not because we could. We needed it.
And then we're kind of back where we started, but now we can kind of talk more about the center stuff of the base.
Yep. So we have an iron smelter, which is, again, squeezed in amongst everything else, which is, I think it's 1.5 iron smelters overall, fed from one train station, which also feeds iron to 3 other smelters. So it's a very busy train station. Very, very busy.
It is. So we've got some of the ore coming down here to the bottom, and then the other half of the ore comes over here to our original smelting build. And this is really kind of where the base essentially started, was the very, very center, and then we worked our way out.
Yep.
So we've got original iron smelting build here-ish, along with...
Iron's over here. Iron's over here.
Yep.
And then we looped it back to make some steel. And then we added this over here to make more steel, which is still fed from the same train station.
Yep.
Which makes more iron and more steel. And again, it's fit in around the train track because the train track got there first. And as we work our way up iron, we get to our military build.
Yep.
This is the primary military build. The secondary one's over here. Yep, reasons. And we're making pipe and gears here.
Yep. And
I don't know why.
Yeah, it goes to something, but I cannot tell you what at this point.
My money's on engines.
Oh, yep. If you follow the line, it goes all the way up here to engines over here, past another steel smelting build up above the iron.
So we have, this mess, and I'm just going to let you admire for a second. You know, there's grenades and yellow ammo and red ammo and boilers and power poles and steel furnaces. No, I don't see steel furnaces. No, I see steel furnaces now. Electric furnaces, stone furnaces. The components for red and green science, which have been shuffled around like 8 times, and the spaghetti in here has slowly got worse and worse and worse as we've begged, borrowed, and stolen tiles from here, there, and everywhere to automate science and then feed it into the labs, which technically most of the labs get science. I don't think all the labs get science.
I think all of them do, actually. Like, if we had the original labs in place that I think you put down, and then I kind of used the daisy chain technique, even going into a tank, because I had no way to direct daisy chain the labs from one lab to the other. So this is the last one
for the
over
record,
here.
People use tanks because you can filter a tank, but you can't filter a box.
True.
So the tank has filters for all the different sciences, including 2000 space science, for the record, Poober.
Yeah.
One stack, and you stack space science to 2000. It's an awful lot.
Well, I mean, I just did one filter. I couldn't make it any smaller, but you can see that technically all of the labs get all of the science. And actually, JD thought of the really weird technique of having the rocket silo direct feed the space science into the labs, which I've never seen done before. So we've got this one red inserter here, here, and here that directly feeds the space science into all of the labs from there.
Which we've never used.
Maybe for one bit of research.
Nope. We didn't do it even for the test. Nope. We've launched 14 rockets. Most of them had satellites. Most of them, all the rocket science just got deleted because we don't use it. Yeah.
Well,
it's not a wasteful base at all.
I do want to point out how we're feeding the labs with a lot of our science packs here, because this was also a pretty difficult thing to manage, because we found out how to get one belt of science packs to the science labs, and then we quickly realized we didn't accommodate or plan on making the other sciences nearby. So
yes,
we somehow got it to work.
There was no planning, and if there was planning, it came after the fact. So red and green science was obviously made right here, and the labs were put right here, nice and simple. Blue and military got made next and got shunted in front. And then I have a feeling there was an assembly machine that got in the way at some stage. So it got removed, and then that let high-tech, and no, it's not called high-tech anymore.
Utility?
It's called utility. Yep, utility and production science got shunted in at the top, which feeds every single.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We managed. Well, there we go.
Yeah, we're amazing.
Shot.
Yeah, no, we're better than we realized. But yeah, we somehow. I mean, there were many episodes where it was just all about getting belts from point A to point B, including these science packs, which I specifically remember being a pain in the butt.
Yes.
But then moving past our like further automation that we kind of already talked about, so the miners, the assemblers, all of this above here, we've got, I think this was our first green circuit build here.
It
which is very small, doesn't produce a lot.
Well, we built another one right beside it to produce more, which was
still
not enough.
Yeah.
Still not enough.
And then we have our first or original copper plate smelting area here. This is about as straight and neat looking as it gets.
Yes. This one is straight, and then we have our stone here, which is normally because stone takes twice as long to smelt as iron or copper. Normally, the smelter ends up like half the length, but instead, in my infinite wisdom, I built it a normal length and then double output to the belts. So it is technically in ratio, but outputs one half onto one side of the belt and then the other half onto the other side of the belt to give you a full belt's worth.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've never done it before, and I now don't know why haven't done it that way before.
Yeah,
so
it's smart.
I think I'm going to do that in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, very compact. We have wall production just nearby, and this gets fed into science, as well as I think just a passive provider box somewhere as well.
Yeah, a passive provider box somewhere, but this gets fed into military, which is on that side of the base.
Yep, left.
Yeah.
And then past the original refining build, this was my setup originally, I think, which is why it's especially
pipe
lame.
Spaghetti. Yeah, your pipe spaghetti. It's confusing.
Yeah, there was no ratios kept in mind. It was just planting down the refineries and then just trying to crack things to keep the fluids as much in ratio or balanced as possible, so that we didn't get a stop in production of one fluid versus the other. So it's mostly working. We've got some cracking involved. We've got light oil into petroleum over to the top, and then solid fuel production. We've got plastic production, heavy or light into heavy over here, or one or the other. One chemical plant for lube.
Yep.
Batteries as well. In addition to the ones down here at the bottom, we've got sulfur, our acid production over here, and then also another instance where I used a car for storage purposes to get copper and iron into this assembler or chemical plant over here. And
there's the car.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the car existed.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell you, or else I feel like you would have shamed me.
Probably.
Yeah, but it works. In fact, there's two cars over here. And it works perfectly, and I would do it again.
Hey, Poober.
Yeah?
Your car's broken.
Don't break my car. Why is my car broken?
I didn't have to. Because the inserter has copper in its hand.
Oh, yeah. Let's ignore that part. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's fix it.
Okay.
Fixed.
Oh, look, it works! See? Oh, magic. I love it.
It works.
I love it. And we're not going to talk about the poor chemical plant that for 30 episodes straight never actually had an input.
Yes, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. So we also have explosives for cliff explosives, along with our blasting charge, which lets us put water anywhere, which is really good if Poober gets under my skin, I can just drown her. So this brings us to red science. Red circuits. Yeah, that's it. Red circuits along with robot frames.
Yep.
And that led to the worst, most horrible two-holder episodes, I believe. Engine build with electric engines, which Poober valiantly built and then realized that she was missing one input and had to rip up the whole thing and rebuild it.
Yeah, which is also coincidentally the same thing that happened for our first series. So it seems like I have a problem with engine builds, and they always come back to haunt me.
Yeah, and more importantly, we didn't have robots at this stage, so she had to manually place everything, then manually rip up everything, then manually put it all back down a second time.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Mm-hmm. So I think, is that it? Is that the whole base? Have we done a whole loop?
It might be. I guess let's take a look at more of the outside stuff in terms of our miners and everything. Our current miner that's getting attacked over there, that's really obnoxious. Sorry, guys. This was at least mostly vanilla in terms of like the... Actually, the only non-vanilla thing were the aesthetic mods we used, like Disco Science, and originally we had like little snowmen back when this was winter.
Back at Christmas time.
Yeah, we've got a water explosive mod. So the full list of mods are listed down below, but the biters were kept at their normal aggressions, which is why we've got so many things getting destroyed right now. But we had oil up here to the top. We've got a couple different copper mining areas, oil down to the bottom as well, iron to the bottom left and top right, and then uranium.
We really avoided outposting pretty much as possible.
Yeah. Ugh.
Along with avoiding making any of our train tracks straight from the looks of it. Yeah. None of the train tracks were straight. And they did path right through the middle of the base because we decided to put iron down here in this corner, and the iron ore was in the top right, so logically I just ran the train tracks basically straight up to the iron ore, and if it happened to go through the middle of the base, it's fine. We just build around it.
Exactly.
And we did. So I don't think there's anything else unless there's something we've missed.
No, well, I mean, of course, there's a lot of things we missed. There's still going to be, like, if you guys download the map, you're going to find some things not working, some things working, and we don't know why. You're going to find some problems that you guys mentioned in the comments that, didn't get fixed. Oh, and we've got this area over here, for example, that is only getting the fuel. And not the copper.
Coal. And I saw that as soon as we started. I'm like, nope, not questioning it, just leaving it, just ignoring it.
We're going to leave it. This is how it is in all of its glory, beauty, and the disaster that it is. But it's definitely spaghetti.
Yes. That was the whole point of this series, to make something horrible, practice every different type of belt branding possible, and belt trickery there is on the planet. If all else fails, use an inserter to move something from one belt to another, which I'm pretty sure happened a number of times.
Yeah.
Or thread it through a car.
I know I've said this from the very beginning. I have a very love-hate relationship with this base, but, it's, for what it's worth, it was a good experience. I'm glad we did it, but I'm also glad to be moving on. And, also, if you guys have any suggestions for season 3 of something, please let us know as well.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for enjoying this series as much as we might have or might not have. And we'll see you guys in whatever comes for season 3.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.